So in this segment, we're going to be discussing the Tories spending way more money on kind of putting asylum seekers in horrible conditions than they would cost to put them in hotels. This is wild. Like, government plans for asylum accommodation will cost more than using hotels. Large sites are housing fewer people than planned. We found that the Home Office expects to spend £1.2 billion on its large sites programme. So the less humane option costs more money. The real question is, who owns these facilities that are, making a lot of money here? This ship. Who owns that? And do they have any links with the Conservative Party? One of the members of the House of Lords talking about this.
He referred to the cost of hotels. Well, we know, as Lord Coker said a few minutes ago, and I think the right figure is £592 million to keep 300 people in Rwanda for 3 years. That's 1.8 something million pounds per head. I haven't looked on the Ritz Paris website for some time. I may have had a meal there once at somebody else's expense, but my recollection of looking at that website is that one could keep somebody in that hotel for 3 years and have some money back at the cost that this process is, so the National Audit Office says, going.
So, this is the Rwanda plan and I think the Biblic Stockholm and the other things. Like, we are spending more money to follow through with these policies, despite the fact that the crossings have gone up again. Like, these deterrents are not working. They don't work. The best thing we can do is safe points of entry and more foreign aid. So then, people can stay where they are. And the ones that do feel like they need to seek asylum here can have their asylum claims processed quickly, because we are spending enormous amounts of costs. And this is Stephen Kinnock talking about this as well.
Now, let's be clear, Mr. Speaker. The only special or unique status in terms of the aspects of this bill and the treaty that accompany it that can be found are in its extortionate implementation costs, its unlawful nature, and its glaring unworkability. Indeed, as I move into the details of these amendments, I feel it's important to point out that since the Rwanda bill was last debated in this place, even more evidence of the astonishing unaffordability of the scheme has come to light. This failing scheme was already costing the British taxpayer almost £400 million, even though not a single asylum seeker has been sent to Rwanda. But every new detail is more astounding than the last. And we recently learned that the first 300 asylum seekers to be sent to Rwanda would cost the British taxpayer an extra £200 million on top of that, earning an invoice worth £570 million from the Rwandan government for just 1% of the 30,000 asylum seekers who crossed the small boats last year.
So that's what I mean. It's not a deterrent, especially if these people know the numbers. And you're playing a game of probability at that point anyways. Will you be sent to Rwanda? Rwanda, a country where people are leaving that country and seeking asylum elsewhere. Like, we should not be sending people abroad. This is ethically, morally, however you can describe it, it's wrong. It's wrong. Economically, it's illiterate. Like, none of these plans make any sense. Just process the claims. I don't know why it costs £21,000 to process an asylum seeker's claim. Maybe that's the cost of housing them as well. Like, I don't see how it could cost that much, but it's way cheaper than housing them long-term in hotels or sending them to Rwanda or putting them on the barge. We should be doing the right thing, which is just process the claims. I think a lot of these people are still coming from Afghanistan, despite the fact that Priti Patel told them to come here. She told them to get to the UK whatever means, and they can seek asylum here. We told them to do that, and now we're all shocked Pikachu face when it happens. I genuinely don't get it, and no one can argue the Conservative Party are the party of fiscal responsibility when they pull stunts like this.
That's almost £2 million per asylum seeker. Just let that sink in for a moment. £2 million to send just one asylum seeker from the UK to Rwanda.
That's 2 million taxpayers' money. Imagine if this money was spent on constituencies, the amount of stuff you could do with that money. Just imagine in one constituency how much you can do.
And then another 100, I will in 1 second, and then another 182,000 per person on top of that. In comparison, to process an asylum seeker in the UK, in comparison, it costs just £21,000.
It's just the height of fiscal irresponsibility, these schemes. And they're there to kind of be a deterrent and feed red meat to the base, it's not working as a deterrent. And it's not really working for the base, because the base want you to be more aggressive, because they can see these schemes are not working. You talk a big game, but you're just another chump in power. That's what the Tories are. We're spending enormous sums of money to deal with this. This is not responsible at all. This is morally wrong, fiscally wrong. Like, the Conservative Party have no leg to stand on with these schemes. I can see why Labour wouldn't focus on the moral aspect of it, because at the end of the day, I don't think people in the UK really care about asylum seekers that much. That's why they're focusing on the fiscal aspect of it, which is fine. But processing these claims is the right thing to do, and it makes sense all round. But the problem is, if you process people's claims, they get the right to seek asylum here, and then people get all mad saying, oh, why are they here? Why can't they go somewhere else? Me, we ain't got money for ourselves. Me. Even though the fact that we actually do have enough money for ourselves, it's just locked up offshore or in rich people's bank accounts. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And yeah, hopefully we stop this nonsense.